Guruve Gaura Chanjaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My Dandavat Pranam devotees. So I am getting a little bit of a late start on services today. So I wanted to answer a question that came in, and devotee requested a response. And because of the kind of emotional nature that the devotee at least presented, it's a husband and wife, presented in their query, I wanted to answer the question. I asked, Dandavat Sadhana Siddha Prabhu, I asked if I could just give him a quick reply via the messenger, and they wanted it to be done in this format, and I had not planned to do, as I mentioned earlier in the week, to do any more questions and answers this week because it was such a busy week and so many things are happening. So I, at their request, I'm doing this, and I don't really have a full context. That was the other thing that I was unable to establish, and they were, when I inquired, they weren't so willing to speak about the source material from which they had their question. So that makes it a little more difficult because context means a lot. And so Prabhu was asking, well, can you just speak to the points? So I'm not exactly sure how this will work out, but I will try to address it. So, of course, the first question is manifest in the subtitle of the post itself, and that is, can pure devotees make mistakes? So, of course, I will read something first from Al Srila Prabhupada as to hear from the very lips of a pure devotee, and then I will also explain some things. So here, Srila Prabhupada, I pull this up from the database. Srila Prabhupada is clearly saying here, no one is free to act freely and independently, and as such, one should always seek the permission of the Lord to act, to eat, or to speak, and by the blessings of the Lord, everything done by a devotee is beyond the principles of the four defects of a typical conditioned soul. So here, kind of in a nutshell, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the activities and actions of pure devotees are not being carried out under the jurisdiction of their own mind and senses, and that their mind and senses are not byproducts of the material energy, but rather the pure devotee is an agency of Bhagavan himself. We sing every morning, Saksharari Dvena Samashta Shastriya. All Shastras saying that Shri Guru is Saksharatitva. It means by the nature of their intimate connection of seva and their realization of their eternal relation with Bhagavan, they are in the category of Sakshat with Bhagavan. Saksharatitva means, Sakshatva means they have Taratmika with Bhagavan. So Taratmika means oneness, but this oneness is not like the oneness of Mayavad. It is a oneness of intent, a oneness of purpose, a oneness of the connection of their praying to Bhagavan. So that oneness of the pure Vaishnava and Bhagavan makes that pure Vaishnava act only as the instrumentation of the Lord. So because the Lord himself is beyond all defects and 16 types of, or 18 types of faults, the pure representation of the Lord in this world, pure devotee guru, is also beyond the four defects. Illusion, making mistakes, cheating propensity, and being, what is the fourth one? The cheating propensity, being illusion, subject to mistakes. There's one more, I'm not thinking right offhand. But the pure devotee is beyond those four defects, right? So, because the pure devotee is beyond those defects, if we see the pure devotee as being part of anything to do with those 4 defects, including the principle here of making mistakes, then we're misperceiving the actual nature of a pure devotee. So how will we reconcile that a pure devotee may be speaking something and may misspeak? How will we reconcile that a pure devotee may say something about some relative historical or relative social fact and that thing not be correct? We'll have to understand that the nature of the pure devotee's function is strictly on behalf of the absolute principle. It is not part of the relative principle, but rather it is to make the relative principle the servant of absolute truth. So in regard to the absolute truth, pure devotee never makes any mistakes. What we perceive in the relative sphere as mistakes of the pure devotee are our own relative experience. You understand? Because in the absolute realm, there is no mistakes. Nothing is by accident, etc., etc. It has become popular to discuss a relative side of Guru and an absolute side of Guru, etc., etc. In reality, Guru is a whole reality. You understand? And Shri Guru, we're talking about self-realized, pure, realized Vaishnava. There are other categories of Guru. I will speak about that in a second. But those who are realized, pure Vaishnavas, who realize their siddhi, in them, relativity comes only as a servant to their seva. So relativity is a servant to their absolute seva. So we cannot couch their seva in the same vision, viewpoint, or perspective as relative things. Oh, they couldn't remember that the first president was George Washington, not this person. You understand? So these things are irrelevant in the view of absolute truth. So we can then attribute, well, then that means that the pure devotee Guru has a relative side, because in the relative side they didn't know this, right? No. The insignificance of that relative fact in relation to the absolute nature of Guru is insignificant. And we're warned not to perceive that sort of dosh in the body or in the mind or in the swarup of pure Vaishnavas. The warning is given there. Drishtaya svabhava janatas vapuschasya doshaya. Don't confuse the absolute nature of pure Vaishnavas with relative considerations. Understand? So no, pure devotees cannot make mistakes. Now, our perception of trying to reconcile their absolute position and at the same time reconcile some relative consideration may produce misperception on our part, and hence we think, oh yes, they can make mistakes. So to that point, let me open up this again so I make sure I'm following the track here. So to that point, no, pure Vaishnavas cannot make mistakes. What of the idea of those who are performing the function of Guru but have not realized their bhajan fully yet? Like those who are Sastra Yukti Suni Punya Judaswara Yandra Uttamadikari Se Tare Sangsara. They have Uttamadikar in the eligibility of the practice of bhakti. And because of their Uttamadikar in the eligibility of sadhana, they are fit, Tare Sangsara, to help others traverse the cycle of samsara. Because their shraddha is fixed and their sastra yukti sunipunya, means their understanding of sastra and sadhu sangha being the basis of their understanding in sastra, and their sastra yukti, their understanding, their clarity of the conceptions is functional in a way that it allows them to become a light for those who are traversing the path of samsara. They are also still, by the nature of their own practice, unfolding and realizing their siddhi, their bhajan. Those who are eternal associates who descend to this world or those who have already obtained Uttam Bhagavat position through sadhana and have realized their bhajan in full. They've realized their siddhi, right? In them, no mistakes can come because they're the direct representation of Bhagavan's own internal energy. So the idea that that kind of pure devotee can make mistakes is borderline aparad, right? If not actual aparad, right? Because if you're just mistaken in conception, you may misperceive things, and in that case, it's a borderline aparad. But if with intent you believe that there's a knowledge base under which you can assert this fact that pure devotees make mistakes, then this is a feature of illusion, and that feature of illusion has caused you to enter the realm of aparad. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I got to look at it again. I'm so sorry. Because there were a lot of things. So let me open the phone and get to it. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay, here we go. Oh, so also, should one drop everything and go to associate with pure Vaishnavas like that? He says here, advanced devotees / pure Vaishnavas like that. So anyway, then he has another question here about the difference. But of course, the answer to that is yes. Shastra is recommended if in your adhikar, if in your bhakti samskars, they're strong enough that you can drop your material considerations and take shelter fully by body, mind, word, moods, everything of any pure Vaishnava. This is the ideal objective in life. So I didn't really get the gist of that question in full. And like I said, if I had the genesis of where this came from, I'd have more context, because I get he's apparently quoting something, and both of them, the husband and wife, that they've read, and but they're not saying what that is. I don't have the context. So, but of course, in general, yes, one should drop everything and take the shelter of a pure devotee, right? So, what does that mean practically? It means, according to your adhikar, it has many meanings. If you are situated in your secular life, you have a job, you have a family, so forth and so on, and you're pursuing the path of Krishna consciousness. In the 6 things which are part of anistita bhakti, means unsteady bhakti, one thing is called utsamayi. Utsamayi means the tendency to become overly enthusiastic at the first appearance of Shraddha. And to think, oh, this is Krishna consciousness, is so wonderful, I should drop everything and go and do that. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, then the reality kicks in. Well, how will I make a living? How will I take care of my family? The temple can't do that. So, you understand? So, we should walk the path of bhakti with very sure steps. In other words, another part of Anistita Bhakti is called Vyuddha Vikalpa. It means the consideration of whether I should be renounced and just give up everything, or whether I should try to balance that with family life. Or so to avoid this kind of vacillation between these two things, one should walk a steady path of bhakti according to one's genuine adhikar, means your genuine understanding and realization, and gradually, the influence of the practice of bhakti will unfold you from wherever you are and bring you to the point of your perfection. So there's no need to insert one's own sort of mental endeavor and mental exercises. Should I do this? Should I do that? And maybe I'll just jump into renunciation full blown, right? And then 3 weeks later, difficulty arises, etc. So no, just walk very sure-footedly. And according to your previous bhakti samskars and the current samskars or impressions in this life, then those things will come to an intersection along with your aspiration, and they will guide you to secure unfoldment in bhakti at different levels. So, in answer to the question in general, yes. And also, the running to take shelter of a Vaishnava does not necessitate always this extreme posture of just dropping everything and running to a Vaishnava. It also is inclusive of, even in your family life, going with your family and hearing especially the Harikatha and instructions of pure Vaishnavas, because those things will give us genuine footing in the progressive steps on the path of bhakti. Right? And many Vaishnavas can you hear from? How many pure Vaishnavas can you hear from? Is there any number mentioned in scripture? Should be 1, 2, 3. How many can you hear? No. Any pure Vaishnava that comes into your purview, either by you traveling, they're traveling, whatever it might be, you should take advantage to go and hear the Harikatha of that pure Vaishnava. No institutional considerations, no bodily considerations, nothing. Because the absolute truth is Advaya Gyan Paratattva. It is one thing. It is not many, many, many different things. Now, those who may not be able to reconcile the oneness of the absolute truth, for them, they may find it difficult to reconcile hearing Harikatha in different places. Those who are sincere, I'm not going to just say mature, because sometimes that's used as an argument. Oh, because you're very new, you may become confused. No. If you're very sincere, and it's a pure Vaishnava, how will the intersection of your sincerity and the pure nature of a Vaishnava cause confusion? Somebody who speaks like that is confused because you don't understand that Krishna is the operating principle in the pure Vaishnava and the sincerity in the faith of the aspirant. So Krishna will not confuse himself. You understand? Krishna is trying to awaken the soul to their perfection. So how will it be that any pure servant of Krishna's, imbued with the quality and mood of serving Krishna via giving his Harikatha, set a table for confusion of a sincere aspirant? So that also is not possible. Could it be that a sincere aspirant, though not sedantically mature, may not understand everything? Certainly. And this then requires hearing again and again from sadhus to become clear. So yes, the idea of dropping everything to go to the presence of a sadhu is even also recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. Verses there, whenever and wherever there's a pure Vaishnava, one should immediately go there. And by body, mind, word, moods, everything, hear their Harikatha. Gane prayasam urpasanamanteva in this shlok. Right? Jivanti san mukaritam bhavadiya vatma. In this shlok. So, anytime we have that opportunity, we should fully take advantage to hear the Harikatha instructions of pure Vaishnavas. And let's say somebody says, well, I already have a pure Vaishnava guru. So should I still go and hear Harikatha of a different pure Vaishnava? Yes. Because guru is a Akanda principle. Nityananda's Akanda Guru Tattva, Samashti Guru Tattva. So guru is also a principle of Advaya Gyan Paratattva. Does that mean that each individual Vyasti Guru or pure Vaishnava has to speak the same words? Like in the corporate media, you can see that the editing behind corporate media is such that if you were to listen to newscasts and listen to it on a delayed format, you would hear they're actually repeating the same words because it's edited what they should say. We are now in a crisis. 2 minutes later, another, we are now in a crisis. Yes, it seems like we're facing a crisis, right? So, yeah, whenever something is edited and manipulated, then you'll find that. But in pure Vaishnavas, their words may not echo like that. But when one has some maturity, you'll see the synthesis of their Harikatha. In the beginning, that may be difficult, but don't avoid hearing the Harikatha on that basis. Because again, my point is, sincerity of the aspirant and purity of the Vaishnava cannot give rise to confusion. You understand? But, or even, this is another principle. When my Gurudev has mentioned this Leela like this, but the other Vaishnava mentioned the Leela like that, then there's something called reconciliation. Right? So you have to hear from your Guru Parapadma, from that Vaishnava, who's also pure Vaishnava, how do I reconcile these? And any Vaishnava who is truly having any realization, they will be able to reconcile for you. But you can't sit in the general audience, hear the Harikatha, not understand the reconciliation, and then go back and say, well, he says something different from my Gurudev. Right? So be like this. Be always sincere. And also be always trying to grow so that you'll be able to reconcile things. And then when you're able to reconcile things, your own heart will unfold with one realization or epiphany after another. Right? So that's another point. Should I drop everything and go to Sri Guru? To pure devotee? Absolutely. Right? Does it mean giving up another pure devotee? No, not at all. I don't know where that idea would also come from. Pure devotees are always in harmony. Right? We may not see, because sometimes in the Acharya Lila, we may see apparent discrepancies. But again, we'll have to reconcile by speaking to those Vaishnavas. Right? There's a popular saying at least in the African American community, that when kids are very young, they may see two adults having a discussion. And usually children, they tend to lend emotional content to the favorite of the two parties, right? But in the African American community, you'll see many times when a child will interrupt a conversation of adults, both adults will simultaneously say, listen, don't get involved in the conversation of grown folks. That's the popular saying. Go sit down. Don't be involved in the conversation of grown folks, right? So, of course, that would not happen with pure Vaishnava devotees. They should say, oh, let us help you to reconcile, right? Even those two Vaishnavas will reconcile, right? So, yes, there's no reason why you should not drop everything, if that's the terminology. Which drop everything simply indicates immediacy, urgency, importance. It's not a literal statement necessarily, though it can be, right? That, yeah, I'm at an adhikar where dealing with the secular life, material world is all done. Let me drop these things and immediately take full shelter and pick up 24/7 seva of any high class of Vaishnava. So yes, that. Second part of the question. Advanced devotee and pure devotee, is there a difference? Yes, because a devotee can be advanced, but they may not have realized their bhajan yet. But they may have come to the stage of ruchi. They may have come even into the stage of ashakti. So this is considered very advanced level of devotion. You understand? But they may not have realized their sarup, and they may not have realized their siddhi, their perfection. Understand? So pure Vaishnava means who's realized their perfection. Jnaninas tattva darshana, they've seen the absolute truth. Means their sarup, sarupa Bhagavan, etc. So it is not a question of advanced devotee, pure devotee, exactly the same. So again, in the Nectar of Instruction, in verse 5, which is Upadeshamritam, Srila Prabhupada makes this point. Of course, this is the quoting of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. Krishneti yasha giritan manasodriyeta dikshati chet pranatibis chabajan tamisham susrusaya bhajan vidyanam ananyamanya ninda adi sunya hridaya ipsita sangalabhya. So, here it says, if a person is chanting Hare Krishna, they've not undergone actual Nam initiation from a guru, or certainly they have not taken Diksha mantras from a guru, still, mentally, we should give honor to that person. That they are so fortunate in their samskars and sukritis, they've come to the point where they can utter the holy name of Bhagavan. Whether they're doing it inadvertently, jokingly, especially what to speak if they've taken it up as a matter of serious pursuit, but yet have not heard it from the lips of the Vaishnava Parampara. We should give mental honor to that. If anyone, dikshati chet pranatibis cha bhajantamisham. If anybody's taken diksha, here diksha means vidvat rudi diksha. They've truly taken diksha from a spiritual master, right? Or a true Vaishnava guru. Then pranatibis, we should offer pranam to that devotee. This means panchang pranam, shashtang pranam, means bow down and offer obeisances to that devotee. Because they are now really engaged in the internal process of bhajan. Because diksha is the entrance into true bhajan life. That is the entrance. Because in doing real diksha, it means saranagati. And saranagati is the bhakti dwara. It's the doorway to bhakti. And also in the mantras, I've quoted verse many times, Jiva Goswami's definition of what is Divya Gyan in relation to Diksha mantras. Divya Gyan Vyarta Shimanti Mantre Bhagavat Sarup Gyanantena Bhagavat Sambandha Visesh Garamscha. So that person who has heard from pure Vaishnava, from a Vaishnava Guru, what is the nature of my Ishtadev and my relation with Ishtadev, and they're doing bhajan in accordance with that Sambandha Gyan, they should be honored by pranam. You understand? So here Rupa Goswami is saying, there is a distinction between levels of aspirants, those doing bhajan at a certain level, and certainly those Susrishaya bhajan vigyanamanyamanya, ninda adi sunya. So Susrishaya bhajan vigyan. Those who are bhajan vigyan, they realize their bhajan, pure Vaishnavas. Ananyam anya. They are fully engaged only internally and externally, 24/7, in absorption, in seva to their Ishtadev. And ninda adi sunya. They are void of any propensity to critique or criticize, not critique, but to criticize with malice any other persons. Ipsita Sangalabhya. Their association is extremely desirable. So here differentiation is made between who is aspirant, chanting the holy name, who's undergone diksha and has come in parampara and is practicing bhajan, and those who have realized their bhajan. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioned. Shakale Shaman Korite Shakati Deho Nata Jatta Jatta. Please, Gurudev, give me the mercy to honor all living beings according to their positions. So a question may raise, well, Mukunda Prabhu, how will we know who's who, so forth, so on? In great humility is really a spiritual byproduct, so we don't have humility, but following etiquette with aspiration for humility, we should hear from mature Vaishnavas how to understand the various grades of aspirants, those who are practicing in the Madhyamadikar, those who have Uttamadikar. We should hear from them. And then be able to operate on the basis of those instructions and that knowledge, how to honor different types of Vaishnavas. And also we should not apply a mundane value system to that classification. In other words, oh, he's only Madhyamadikar, this one may be Uttamadikar, like this. It's not that kind of mood. Mood is all persons, all jivas are the angsa of Bhagavan. Mamam vamso, jiva loke, jiva bhut sanatana. All are the angsa of Bhagavan. So all persons are honorable. According to the nature of their activities, we may or may not associate. You understand? And we may recognize that for some people, their consciousness has not begun to unfold yet. So though they have a human body, right, their consciousness has not begun to unfold. So they are also parts and parcels of Bhagavan like animals, everything else. But that soul has not begun to evolve yet. And we will also recognize those whose consciousness has begun to become illuminated. And then those who, in the unfoldment or becoming illuminated, have seen the light of the pure process of bhakti, and therefore have aspiration for that process. And then Rupa Goswami is given, oh, they've taken to chanting Hare Krishna, then we will honor that person by mind. Those who've accepted Diksha in genuine parampara, Pranativis, will actually bow down, because we're honoring Bhakti Devi's presence there, in their bhajana kriya and in their sadhu sangha. And those who are bhajan vigyan, they've realized their city, Susrishaya, will give all of our energy, hearing and everything, and have their association. Understand? So those persons, Ipsita Sangha is very desirable. Understand? So hopefully, Didi and Prabhu, this answered your question. Again, I don't have the source material of where the context of what it is that you read that gave rise to your questions. So if you want to send that to me, even privately, if you don't want it public, you can send it to me privately, and then I could see it, because by context, maybe the intention was different. I don't know. But just I'm addressing the general principle here. Right? In general principle, pure devotees do not make mistakes. General principle, as soon as we have opportunity by Adhikar to, as much as we can, give up any material conception, take shelter of pure Vaishnavas, we should do that. Are there differences between Vaishnavas, even advanced Vaishnava and pure devotee? Yes. I give explanation that even those who have come into a mature, more advanced stage of bhakti, like Ruchi or Shakti, still those who are Siddha, who realize their bhajan, or who are Nitya associates of Bhagavan, who descended to this world and are realized souls, there is some distinct difference there, right? And we have to honor that. So we cannot just say all people are advanced devotees, even. You can't say, well, not all people, but you can't say that group, maybe they're philosophically sound, everything, they're just all advanced devotees. No, somebody is Siddha, and that person who's Siddha, we give recognition to that, realize their bhajan. You know, so they realize their bhajan. They are in a different category. Understand? How will we know? Then we'll also have to become mature ourselves. Even we'll have to at least know the symptoms of bhav, kshanti, avyakta, kalatam, virakti, manasanyata, ashabandha, samutkanta, etc. Namagana, sararuchi, tadguna, shakyane, pratistad, vasati, stale. You have to know what at least are the symptoms externally of somebody who's advanced and who's come towards the stage or is in the stage of bhav. Srila Prabhupada clearly puts that onus on the devotee, because sometimes there's a kind of masquerading or a kind of masking of this truth by saying, well, you know, it takes a pure devotee to know a pure devotee. No, it doesn't. It takes you understanding what is pure devotion and following that ideal to understand where pure devotion is being manifest. Right? I could read it. Actually, I think it's in this very verse. Srila Prabhupada states very clearly. Let me go to the purport. I'll get to that point here. So let me just read. Srila Rupa Goswami advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way, according to their particular status. So here, it's indicating that our dealings with devotees is according to their particular levels of realization in bhakti. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the Kanishtarikari, Madhyamarikari, and Uttamarikari. The Kanishtarikari is a neophyte. Then he goes on to explain the various different kinds of adhikar. So let me get to this point. Srila Prabhupada gives instruction: one should not remain on the Kanishtarikari platform, but one should always be trying to raise himself. So that means those who may be in the position of Kanishta now. The word Kanishta literally means Kanishta, not having Nishta. They haven't come to the platform of Nishta and Bhajan, which means they're still conquering over the anarthas, the principles of anistita bhakti, unsteadiness in bhakti. So those who are there, they're in that position. And one verse is there for them: Acharya me vaharaye pujam sharayete nata bhakteshu chanyeshu sa bhakta prakrita smritaha. Those who, they may be even worshipping the deity in the temple, but chief is that they don't understand sadhu sangha. They cannot recognize the different categories of devotees. Nata bhakteshu chanyeshu. This is the fault which keeps a person, even if they have, quote, taken the second initiation of Diksha, and they're doing Thakurji Seva, worshipping the deity, but they don't have clear perspective on what is truly sadhu sangha, and they can't recognize Vaishnavas according to different degrees, that person is still considered to be Kanishta Bhakta. So I'm trying to get to this point where Srila Prabhupada says that the onus is on us to know. I think it's probably near the end of the purport, if I remember correctly. Give me a minute here. This is a pretty long purport, actually. Alrighty. Bear with me. Here we go. This is in the very last paragraph. That's why it took a little while. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami, what to speak about Srila Prabhupada is quoting Rupa Goswami, advises a devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between Kanishtarikari, Madhyamarikari, and Uttamarikari. So on whom is the onus to understand these various distinctions? On the devotee. It means you have to become familiar with Guru Tattva, Vaishnava Tattva. This is part of the process of bhakti. And the devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated in a higher platform. So he's saying that two things. One is we should know the various categories of Vaishnavas. We should understand this as a Siddhantic point, right? So we may not have realized fully our bhajan and therefore from that angle of vision we're seeing who's situated on what platform, but from the platform of what is Bhakti Siddhant. What is the platform of the knowledge of Bhakti, which gives rise to understanding different kinds of devotees? Like I already read the first verse, what is Kanishta Adhikari? So what is Madhyama Adhikari? Right? What is that verse? Ishwaritara Dineshu Valiseshu Disatsvacha Prema Maitri Kripu Pacha Sakaroti Samajama. So Madhyama Adhikari means a person who has 4 qualities. They demonstrate praying for bhakti. There's nuances to this, and I'll extend this very much beyond what I wanted to if I try to get into it. But basically, praying for Bhagavan is there. Also, they have Maitri for Vaishnavas according to their different categories. And they have mercy, kripa, towards those who baleshu means innocent persons. And they may show apeksha or neglect to those who are offensive, those who are evil-spirited, evil-minded, etc., right? And are against Vaishnavas, etc. They may show upeksha to them, right? So this is a Madhyam Adhikari. Those who are Uttam Adhikari are, what is it? Yapashet, what is it? Savabhutam Yapashet Bhagavam Bhavam Atmanaha. Savabhutam Yapashet Bhagavam Bhavam Atmanaha. Everywhere they look, they only see Bhagavan. Jangamastava deke na deke taramoti savatra nija ishtadeva sporti. Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Pure devotees, they see everything according to their realized bhav. So this is another nuance in this verse, because the verse Ninda Adisunya Ipsita Sangalabhya means there are some Vaishnavas who, due to their inner absorption, they remain always in Antradasha, means in their internal absorption. For those devotees, their association is desirable because they can give Ashibad, they can give you a blessing to advance your bhakti. But you cannot follow their behavior. Example, Vangshidash Babaji, Paramahamsa Uttam Bhagavat. So by his kripa, by his blessing, we can advance in bhakti. But we cannot follow his example of bhajan, because we don't have adhikar for that. Shri Vamsidas Babaji used to speak directly to his deities. I went out for Madhukari today. Madhukari means to beg something, and sadhus in Braj or Navadvip, anywhere, they used to go and they would get some chapatis or something, and this is how they live their existence. But he said, I went today for Madhukari, but today no one gave me anything. So that must mean you arranged this, or you must not want to eat, and he would allow his deities to fast. Sometimes he'd become angry at his deities, he'd put them in the Jamuna and hold them down in the water. Who can understand his bhav? You understand? So you cannot take his example in the immature stage. You can't take that example. But he has full capability to bless you with pure bhakti. But those who are bhajan vigyan, they've realized their bhajan. And the point I was making about this verse was Ninda Adisunya. Because Ninda not only means to critique something with malice, which is Ninda, which is an aparad, but Ninda also means to critique something to help it. To help someone. You can give positive feedback. That is also called Ninda. Right? So, the Vaishnava that I mentioned, like Vamsidas Babaji, because they don't see anyone as not Krishna conscious, they cannot give you positive critique, oh, your bhajan is lacking in this way or lacking in that way. Because when they're absorbed in Antradasha, internal mood, they think everybody's serving Krishna. Vamsidas Babaji used to go out for his daily parikrama, means his circumambulation, and some small boys used to throw stones at him. And he would go, hey, listen, you keep on. Kanai, I know this is you behind this. So I'm telling Subal, Madhumango, you stop this. Because he's absorbed. So these were ordinary little kids of Braj, but he's thinking in his absorbed mood like this. So his person cannot critique your bhajan because they think everybody's serving Krishna. So the first person, bhajan vigyan, they realize their bhajan, therefore they have no malice in their heart, so they will never critique anyone based on malice. That person is very much helpful to us in growing our bhajan and growing our understanding. So again, I only want to make the point here that Srila Prabhupada is quoted Rupa Goswami, that the onus is on us to understand who is in various categories of bhakti, who is in the stage of immature bhakti, who's some advanced in bhakti, who's more advanced in bhakti, who's very advanced in bhakti, and who's realized in bhakti. And we do have the capability to understand that, or Rupa Goswami would not have written it. Right? Because pure devotees, again, don't make mistakes. All right, my Dandavat Pranam devotees, please give me your kripa and your mercy to always be engaged in the service of Hari Guru and Vaishnav. And I'm praying that Guru Parambara and Shishi Gaur Nitai and Shishi Radha Krishna Yugu will bless everyone that their practice in bhakti and their bhajan will grow very, very nicely. Jai Vanchakalpaturvesha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Bhaktitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Radhe Radhe. If I have forgotten anything for the husband and wife who sent the question, please let me know again in Messenger, and I will try to respond to yourself directly, since we've already done this on this forum. I'll try to answer any future questions personally, unless you feel it's something that needs to be done. Again, I don't like to reiterate videos or do redundancy as far as these topics are concerned. But if you really feel something needs to be again expressed in this form, then I'll do that. But in general, I'll just try to answer your questions personally. All right, my Dandavat Pranam. Radhe Radhe.